out to our audio podcast audience on Monday, you guys will hear it first that we have some really big news about the show. Epic news, I would say.
And this is strange because this is news that we won't disclose on Stacking Benjamins until next Wednesday. So people are getting it
Next
here.
Wednesday. You're not doing it on Monday? Monday's show?
First. We did not do it on Monday's show. We did not.
Okay.
So, all right. Can we talk about it?
I don't know. I feel like we should wait until the Monday show taping. Well, I mean, everything's signed. I think that we can talk about it here on YouTube
No. Well,
Monday.
actually, I don't think we can. I can
Well,
talk
this
to you
is
about that later. Now that I think about it, I don't think that we can.
so we're
And
not going to reveal it on the Monday show, or maybe I know what we'll do.
I'll tell you more about.
We're going to tape something. We won't reveal it here. We're going to discuss. Maybe I'm going to tease our audience. We may reveal it here, but if we don't reveal it here, what we'll do is we will record something just audio only, so that at the top of the Monday show that we'll add on
It'll be
privately.
there.
So everyone has to make sure to subscribe to the audio show
Yes.
wherever you listen to podcasts, because that's where you'll get the big news. We'll reveal it on Monday, but we're not going to reveal it in this taping here because that would be jumping the gun. But we'll reveal it on the Monday
Yes.
audio show. We'll just add something to the very top of the show.
That's great.
That's
And
and you could do that at Stacking Benjamins too, actually.
I just realized I still have my. I did not put my thing in, but oh well.
That's okay. We're
I
casual.
came
I'll
right.
explain why I'm so casual today. I'm in a t-shirt, which I really usually do try to put on like a more professional, looking blouse or something, maybe a pretty bright color, which is flattering. I am just in a old fashioned t-shirt. It's actually not an old t-shirt. It's a t-shirt given to me for my birthday by a friend of mine, but which says vintage 70s. And because I'm barely made it here, and we'll explain more on the show. I was really happy that you were running late, Joe, which happens a lot. I'm usually on time and Joe is running late. I was only a little late today. Joe was normal Joe late.
Usually coming from some other recording.
Yes. Are
And
you implying that I'm just not as VIP as you? I don't have
I'm
as
just
many places to be and exciting things to do as you do. So that's why I
I'm
could be on time more. I just have less going on.
no, I'm just defending my honor because I do not like being late, and I'm not a fan of late stuff. Like I don't
No,
like.
but you've gotten better at managing expectations because you know I'm going to be on time. So you will actually proactively tell me how late you're running, which actually is perfect. That's fine. I'm all about as long as you manage expectations, it's totally good to be late
It's
because
not.
then I can do other things. It doesn't bother me if you're late because I can be productive doing other things. Like I went on Instagram today and I talked about the show on Instagram, which I rarely do on Instagram stories. So I'm learning new stuff to promote the show
It's fun.
without divulging our big news.
Yes, Guns is here. Kevin is here. Yeah, we got big news.
Big
Kevin
news.
works on our team, so Kevin knows the news, but can't. Kevin, do not
Do
share.
not reveal.
Yes, we are not allowed to share. So, all right. We can reveal that we got two great recordings to do today. We're going to do one. We'll stop the stream, and then we'll come back with a new headline. So we're just going to take a little break for maybe 2 minutes, and then we'll be back for a second one. I could have even shaved today. I didn't do that. So you're welcome, America. You get me, or world. You get me just as I'm here in my best finery, my podcaster. Yeah. All right. We we ready to do this?
Of course.
All right, let me hit record. This will be for tomorrow. This is May. I can't believe it's May.
I know. I actually wait. The funniest thing is I did a part of my Instagram that I did. I'm turning off my mail right now. If anyone's wondering what I'm doing, my so we don't interrupt the show. But my Instagram that I did this morning is a public service announcement that it is May because we do mix up the days and the months here. So it is May.
I spent the entire month of April at home. The entire
So
month.
So wait, so Oliver wants to know the big news is going to be out on Monday, but we found out I wasn't sure we could share it. If you guys saw my Instagram, we cannot share it here because it cannot be revealed until Monday. But we will do a special audio like add-on to our Monday show where we will reveal it. So that's what
There is a press release. That's how big it is. There is a press release.
I didn't even know that.
Yes,
That's
yes.
so cool. Oh my
So
gosh.
I was privy to that the other day. So that's how big
I
it
love
is.
it.
But anyway, okay. Uh,
Okay.
let's do this.
I'm giddy with excitement. All right. Are you drinking more during the lockdown? Well, you are not alone. We are talking about the booming booze business on this edition of Money with Friends. Welcome to the Money with Friends podcast. I am certified financial planner Bobby Rebel, host of the Financial Grown Up podcast, coming to you from Lake Mayapack in Putnam County, New York.
And coming to you from outside Detroit, Michigan, where we make the Stacky Benjamin Show, I'm Joe Saul-Sehy.
This is the Money News Show that includes commentary on recent headlines and stories with thought leaders from across the financial landscape. We break those stories down into what matters to you, our friends, and we leave you with a takeaway to make it your own.
Today's show is brought to you by Tiller Money, your financial life updated in Google Sheets automatically every day. The most flexible way to track your money in one place. Head to head to tillerhq.com/MWF for more. It's funny. I read that all the time and couldn't get it out today. You can tell we do this live, everybody.
We do it live. This is why I write everything down just in case, especially for days like today, because it's so perfect that we're talking about booze and all the drinking that's going on. This is a story that I selected while drinking, ironically. And I don't drink a lot. We were joking about this. We saw each other in Florida before all this started. And Joe, you can verify I was not drinking mainly for the calories, just because it can be very fattening. But I also am just not a drinker. But I've been drinking a little bit more. So, and in fact, I do have a hangover this morning. My head is killing me. So, if you guys are watching, this doesn't happen a lot. So, send me your hangover cures.
We went out for a great meal at Miramoto. Isn't it weird? This is just before everything shut down.
It wasn't that long ago.
And by the way, that place was packed. I mean, think about it. A week later, it was completely closed, and it was packed.
Yeah.
And I think most of the table shared a bottle of wine, and you and our engineer Steve, nope. But everybody else, I think I had double because you didn't have any.
Yeah, I
Just
rarely drink. As I said, just because of the calories, and I tend to be a bit of a workaholic, but I'm doing a little less working these days and a little more drinking. And I'm not an experienced drinker, so I don't have a sense of how much goes into a mixed drink. And I made my own drink last night, and I clearly don't have a good sense of proportions because I put a little too much of the alcohol and not as much of the mixer. And that's what happened.
because
So
you're not a pro.
inexperienced drinkers.
Maybe that's a good reason. So, hey, let's get into it though. Let's talk about drinking and coronavirus, drinking wine specifically and coronavirus. But first, let's see which one of our friends is going to help us kick off today's show.
All right, this story comes from New York Magazine. It is written by Josh Barra, and the headline is Drinking More Wine During the Lockdown? You are not alone. If you have been drinking more wine during the coronavirus crisis, you're not alone. Data from Nielsen shows that wine sales for off premise consumption during the period from March 1 to April 18th were 29% higher than in the same period 1 year earlier. Total alcoholic beverage sales for off premise consumption were up 24%. Of course, on premise sales at restaurants and bars have fallen off a cliff, but the rise in off premise sales is exceeding the 20% benchmark Nielsen estimates is necessary to offset the on premise losses. So, a net gain, guys. That suggests alcohol consumption is up slightly in the crisis, a remarkably robust trend since most kinds of consumer activity are way down. Some of the extra alcohol sales may be attributable to pantry loading. Like with toilet paper, consumers may be buying extra alcohol now in case it becomes harder to find later. Customers might also buy in larger quantities than usual to reduce the frequency of their shopping trips. Nielsen reports sales growth has been especially strong for cases of beer, for example, while six pack sales are actually down slightly, and that a 1.75-liter handle sizes of hard liquor are selling especially well. I know about that. But there are indications that the extra sales are largely going into consumers' bodies. Consumers who told Nielsen they weren't keeping any more alcohol on hand than usual were nonetheless spending 13% more on alcohol for home consumption than they had a year earlier.
As the economy gradually reopens, smaller wine producers will be dependent on the survival of other kinds of small businesses and the resilience of other industries. When wineries can reopen their tasting rooms, will tourists be willing to travel? McMillan is hoping for offsetting effects. Tourists may be less inclined to visit California from far away, but Californians may keep their own travel more local, returning to wine country before going to the East Coast or Europe. When will it be practical for restaurants and bars to reopen, and how long will it take them and their distributors to work through wine inventories that have been ordered before the crisis? If restaurants are operating at reduced capacity, whether due to government orders or consumer hesitancy, it'll take longer to work through the wine backlog. And if there's an overall trend of consolidation, independent restaurants and small liquor retailers being more likely to close with sales shifts toward the chains, that risks putting consolidation up the chain, as those larger survivors tend to order wine from larger wineries. Smaller wineries, which often sit on the very valuable agricultural land, may themselves feel pressure to sell to larger, financially stronger competitors. McMillan urges them to innovate their businesses, improving their capacities for online sales, marketing to younger consumers about who may be more inclined to travel soon after wineries reopen, adding outdoor seating so customers don't have to crowd into tasting rooms so they can adjust to the new shape of the market. In the meantime, consumers should benefit from ongoing deals as wineries cut prices in an effort to move product and draw in new customers. If you're thinking about buying wine directly from a winery and you live in northern states like New York, you'll likely need to order soon if you want to avoid paying for air shipping. But because our state does not permit wine sales in supermarkets, wine shops are deemed essential by the state and generally open. So you may be able to find something interesting from a smaller producer without having to pay for shipping or worrying about the heat. Lots of changes going on nationwide, not just in the winery business, but in every business. But I love this story, Bobby, not about the wine, but about more the microcosm of everything's changing. Nothing's ever going to be, if you're looking for the same as we come out of this, there's no such thing as the same anymore.
No, there is no such thing as the same. And our personal habits are changing. The truth is, people are doing these Zoom happy hours, and at least among my friends, people are actually drinking a little bit more. I mean, I have a book club, and we don't normally drink very much. Maybe a couple people might, out of eight, might have a glass of wine, that kind of thing. But this time when we did our book club, we were all drinking. No one was going home to do homework with kids. Maybe we should be doing more active with our kids, but we know what, we were done. We were off duty, and we all really wanted to have a glass of wine. So I think that, again, nobody, we don't have the driving issue, and people do feel that there's a lot of pressure, and it's kind of more acceptable to have a drink. And I certainly have been drinking more, more significantly more, because I really don't drink that much normally. So in that sense, I think that, yeah, people are drinking more.
I've watched a few documentaries with entrepreneurs who travel the world as a business. And one thing that they had to change over time was as they toured, they had to feel like the tour wasn't the road, that the road was home. And let me explain what that is. Because I think for now, a lot of people think, Bobby, that home equals a little bit of vacation because it's every day. Seems to be this weird day where the family's all together and you get these feelings that you have only when you're on a weekend, right? Hey, the family's together, we're grilling out, but it's a random Tuesday. And because we're grilling out, that means that I have a little glass of Cabernet with my meal. But I remember this one guy saying that when he first started touring as a business, he's a professional DJ. He said that his impetus was to party every night. He's like, I'm in a cool city. I got to go party. He goes, but after a couple months of that, your body starts to realize that you can't sustain the pace. And I think we're actually, as not a country, but as a world, I think we're all going through that right now. We're going through this change. And I think in a couple months, we're going to go, I don't think I can keep this up.
Yeah, I don't know. First of all, I don't know how heavy drinking people are. I mean, I did have, like I said, I was joking that I had a quote real drink last night, and it affected me because I don't normally drink. But I see what you're saying. I remember my very first job. I was 15 years old. I was working at a bakery, and I was really afraid that I would just eat so much of the delicious food that they had, because every time something was even slightly damaged, if you kind of nicked a cheesecake and it wasn't perfect, they couldn't sell it. They would chop it up and put it kind of behind the scenes for everyone to snack on. So there was constantly all this, delicious baked goods. And the truth is, after a couple of days, like you said, I was over it. So you kind of get into it. You're like, wow, this is so great. It's so delicious. And then you're kind of like, meh. So we could see that happen. I don't disagree with that. But I also think that these are also businesses, just like all the other businesses. So I'm glad some businesses are, at least, even if it drops back and it's not an increase, at least maybe this is a business that can hold steady.
Yeah, I think I'm with Sarah here. We're hanging out live on YouTube, making today's show. If you want to hang out with us in the future, head to youtube.com and put in Money with Friends, and you'll find our channel. Click subscribe and the little bell, it'll tell you when we're going live. Sarah's hanging out with us and says, I was definitely drinking more, like every night more. I knocked it off about 2 weeks ago. I've already lost 5 pounds. Everybody talks about the COVID-19, right? It's,
The quarantine 15.
yeah, well, COVID-19, I think, is the name of
Oh, yeah, you're
the
right.
thing. You're gaining
Yes.
19 pounds at the same time. But and all the jokes about wearing a mask inside so you don't eat or drink as much. But the funny thing is I was early on, maybe the first week and a half, like every other night I noticed. I would drink night one, not drink night two, drink night three, and not great. I'm with Sarah. Uh, I do think people though, Bobby, are drinking more than more than you think they are. I think there's a lot of coping going on, and I think that
Yes.
alcohol as a coping mechanism is changing. But let's get. I'm I'm well. I think that's an important point of the story. For me, the more important point is how these wineries are going to have to pivot, and I think that we're all going to have to pivot. I think there's a lot of pivot coming for every person, and wineries is a microcosm looking at maybe moving, tasting areas outside or having somebody bring the drink to your table instead of gathering around the bar. Bobby's never been to a tasting room. She has no idea.
No, I haven't actually.
Everybody gathers around this like bar, and they have people across the bar that are pouring little samples of their wines and wineries to show you what they have. I mean, you're all packed together, and it really is fun because then you talk to the people right next to you about the tasting they're having versus what you're tasting, and you're comparing notes and having a lot of fun. That's not going to continue for a small winery. Big wineries look at selling cases and cases of wine. Small wineries depend on that experience to make money. Like they make money because you come to this beautiful place in this vineyard. You're on the top of a hill with this gorgeous winery looking out over the vines and drinking some vino, and makes all the wine taste better.
Yeah, and it's an experience. And the truth is, many people that go to those, I think, will then, number one, they will purchase wine there while they're there that they'll have shipped home. And then they may be subscribers and they may become ongoing customers. And they also then talk about it to their friends and family who may become more interested. So it is true that it's going to change a lot. Um, yeah, like so many businesses adjusting. We have a lot of folks in our YouTube
We're
chat
all
today.
apparently people like talking about drinking. I think
Apparently,
that's the thing. Gunn says wine's the only alcohol I drink, but I've been drinking less. I wonder why that is. That seems to be against the curve, Gunn, which I guess is a good thing. And Oliver says it's 11 a.m. here on the East Coast as we're making this podcast, and hope Oliver it said just open a beer. So
well, that's the thing. It's it's almost you see this meme a lot of places where they talk about the next generation is going to be run by a bunch of kids that were homeschooled by day drinkers, and
right.
there's some truth to that. I mean, I have not become a day drinker yet, but it could happen. I mean, I'm still in that phase where I'm not cutting back. I'm because like I said, I drink so little. It's still something that it's new and it's a coping mechanism for me. But I could see that 5 o'clock becomes 4 o'clock, becomes 3 o'clock, and yeah, yeah.
Pretty easy when you don't have to drive anywhere. You just jump on a Zoom call, grab a bottle of wine, put a paper bag around it, and you're good to go. No,
I
I'm
don't. Yeah. Okay.
joking.
And this is going downhill. Okay, let's go to our Instagram because our wonderful producer did post a question for us. She asked our Instagram friends, and by the way, we posted this just before we came on. So this is a very small sampling. I just want to stress that. In the past 2 months, have you been drinking more?
75% yes.
Okay, so It was when I looked a couple minutes ago, it was about 50-50, and it's now, and again, this is just because we just posted it. It's now 61% said no, but I mean we could check back in 5 minutes. It could be different.
Yeah.
So because it literally just came out, we have like about less than 20 votes. So that's very small sampling. Usually we get a lot more. So I don't want to call that an official sampling, but just for fun, we did ask people. So
In just a moment, Bobby and I are going to have our big takeaways from today's show. But first, I want to talk a little bit about our sponsor, Tiller Money, your financial life in Google Sheets or Excel spreadsheets, automatically updated each day. The way that it works is that it automatically updates your spreadsheet with your daily spending, your transactions, your account balances from over 21,000 different sources. Tiller Money securely imports all your data from your banks, your credit cards, your mortgages, your brokerages, and over 20,000 other sources. There's a simple one-time setup to get there. You just sign up for Tiller. You have a 30-day free trial to kick the tires and see how it works. You then link your accounts, and they use the same encryption, 256-bit AES encryption that banks use, and then choose your platform, whether you want Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. They both work with Tiller Money. Choose what type of a spreadsheet system you want to use. You can either design your own or use one of many, 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 many that Tiller users have used and have put on the site. Check it out at tillermoney.com, at tillerhq.com/MWF for more. And by the way, you get a 20% off the annual subscription if you use our link.
very well said.
Almost bungled that too. Not very well said, but we are live today, and
Yes.
it's a lot of fun. All right, Bobby, what's our takeaway for today?
Okay, so I am full disclosure, I am the poster child for this trend. I think not only is it going to continue, but even though it may moderate, as Joe said, but I do think that as we get into the warmer months, people are going to start to drink even more if we are still in lockdown. In terms of getting creative with drinks, maybe going beyond wine to more summer fun drinks as people get outside more. Even if we have a partial lockdown, because a lot of us just want to recreate some of the recreational normalcy in our evolving normal. It'll be interesting to watch. I don't know. And I also just want to thank our YouTube audience for the hangover cures that they have posted. I will be getting some water with electrolytes next time a member of my family goes out to the supermarket, which we try to not do too much, but water with electrolytes. Got it. Thanks, guys.
I think looking at the changing face of business, well, I think there's two takeaways here. I like the whole coping thing, and by the way, understanding when your coping mechanism becomes bad, like Sarah said, I think is also a great point. But looking at how companies are pivoting, and the encouragement here from the expert in this piece talking to companies thinking about pivoting. I don't think this is advice just for companies. I think this is advice for all of us. If we're not pivoting to where things are headed, I think where our business is in trouble. And that's when, there was a big book in the early 2000s or maybe late 90s that was about this, Who Moved My Cheese, right? It was this monster bestseller about people that just sit around and complain that the cheese was moved instead of just moving with the cheese. We have to all move with the cheese, Bobby.
Yes, I agree completely. And I think, look, a lot of these businesses are adjusting and doing more selling direct to consumers because they're not selling to restaurants as much or not at all in many cases. So they're doing their best to evolve, and I support that.
How do people help us make the show?
You could be part of our audience, first of all, by coming to us on YouTube where we are now. Just go to YouTube, search for Money with Friends, and you can be part of our Instagram stories. Go to Instagram stories at Money Friends Pod. That's also our handle on Twitter. And that is where we post our polls and our questions and quizzes. And then we reveal them on the show, and you can be part of the show and get a shout out. So that's pretty cool. You can tell I'm still battling the hangover, but I got it out there, Joe. I got it out at Money Friends Pod.
Ta-da! It is
Ta-da.
always fun making this live. On Monday, we're back talking about Airbnb. In the news recently, Airbnb themselves has been in the news as they've struggled, like hotel chains have struggled. But because of their model, there's a bunch of people struggling right now. We've got some lessons that we can all learn from that. On behalf of Bobby, I'm Joe. We'll see you back here on Monday at Money with Friends. Bye bye. I cannot get rid of I don't know if you saw me continually moving wires, but there is a little,
Yeah, I hear that, and I didn't know what that was.
it is,
I hear like a little static.
yeah, it is really not good.
Is it coming from me? I hope not.
I think it is because as you move stuff, it gets worse.
Oh gosh. I don't know.
It really feels like when I have my cell phone next to cords, when I have my cell phone next to cords, it acts up.
Okay, so let me move my cell
So
phone.
I don't know if you've got your,
I do have my cell phone here. So let me move that over there. Did that help? My cell phone is away from cords. Hmm. Is our audience hearing that? Do you guys hear static? Because I do hear a little static in my ear.